Hi, I'm Rick Conlow. What do you notice about the slide here? Goes one way, goes another way, looks like it has an edge. It's an illusion, isn't it? And I believe firmly that managers today have illusions about how well they can serve their employees and work with them. We're going to talk about 10 phrases that poor or traditional leaders use and how it impacts employees. So let's get into it. Here are the 10 phrases. And by the way, one of the things I want to do is to get leaders to commit to eliminating dinosaur thinking. So now, first phrase, do what I tell you to do. Has a manager ever told you that? You had some questions or something and they just said, just do it. They don't have time to talk to you, and on they go. Number 2, we have never done that way before. You're doing the job, or maybe some other people are doing the job and they have a better idea on how to make it work and they don't want to get into it. They don't think it's important. So how does that make employees feel? Just with these first 3 things. How about number 4? Let me think about it. I had a manager tell me that once, and guess what they did? They thought about it. I worked there for 3 years and they never got back to me about it. Isn't that what happens when they say, let me think about it? And number 5, no. They just, boom. Whatever it is that you have, concern, problem, idea, question, they just say no. Why do they do that? Because they want to be in control. They're the important one. You don't matter. Number 6, I don't pay you to think. I actually had a leader, VP of operations for a company say, Rick, I don't want my people to think. I just want them to do what I tell them to do. Kind of back to that first one as well, but also emphasizing that they have all the ideas. They don't need input from others. That doesn't build a really good team, does it? Number 7, you made a mistake. They put it on you. Something goes wrong, it's your fault. Something goes right, they get the glory, right? You ever had a leader like that? How about number 8? Do it yourself. That's why I hired you. Now, that's real helpful, isn't it? I mean, what if there's an issue there and that you just have a couple questions to make sure that you go in the right direction and they don't want to pay attention to it. They're too busy, don't interrupt them. I had one manager say, I have an open door. And then I watched later on in the day, an employee go in there and ask for an idea while the door was open. And the manager says, get out of my office. I'm busy. Quit interrupting me. Well, he really didn't have an open door, did he? Number 9, it's not my fault. So they don't want to take the blame for anything. They point, employees, the customers, another department, that kind of thing is what they point out. And number 10, they do not say anything. That's probably worse than the other 9, wouldn't you agree? You ever have a manager like that? Crickets. Not much going on there between the 2 ears. Look, some managers are like that. They just want to be in the corner somewhere and make a few decisions in an office with a closed door. I had one company say, Rick, tell that guy to get out of the office. Come talk to us. And he said, I don't have time for that BS. Look, how does this impact employees? Let me show you. And I'm not going to read all these statistics, but I'm going to hit a couple important ones. This is the employee attitudes about managers who can't communicate well. And certainly there are other bad phrases managers can say, and often some of those are bad 4-letter words. But here's how it impacts employees. 55% of employees aren't satisfied with their job. 61% say they're treated unprofessionally. 77% of employees are looking for another job. And if employees are looking for another job, how do you think they're doing the job? That's why we get toxic workplaces, when that kind of poor communication comes down on them. And 75 to 80% every year, the number adjusts, but it isn't very good. 3/4 of employees are disengaged at work. And do you think they're doing their best job? No. We have to do better than that as leaders. And what do? We got to treat them respectfully. See, employee engagement is not hard. Just treat them respectfully as partners, not as peons, not as commodities, not as a number, not as human resources, but as partners, as people. People first. I do another video that focuses on the positive phrases, we can say. So look up that one, it's 10 phrases as well, kind of a title. And the goal here is to get leaders to commit to eliminating dinosaur thinking. There's too much of that in the workplace today that leads to those negative results I just shared with you. What managers need to learn to do is build positive relationships to get more positive results. And you do that through good communication. Now, there's other things you need to do, which I'll point out in just a moment here. But with the positive communication, we build trust and we build employees that want to do a great job. And look, employees have great potential. Here's Alex Honnold, rock climber, Yosemite National Park. Notice how he's climbing there. You know, he's upside down. He doesn't use equipment. He's holding on with his fingertips. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do that. The point is, people have incredible potential to do something when they put their mind to it. And leaders help facilitate that, because an employee's direct boss has the greatest influence on their performance besides their own attitude and skill. So people have that potential, but managers don't have a clue a lot of time. Their plans look like this. It's all over the place. It's a mess. It's chaos. You know, human resources in companies today have become cops, not advocates for a people-first, humane workplace. And that's what we need. Greg Eli had a plan. And what was his plan? His plan involved treating people right. He said, Rick, it's all about the people. Treat them right, you get great results. He outperformed his business in Bismarck, North Dakota, outperformed competitors on the West Coast and the East Coast, much larger populations. And he did it with positive communication in team meetings, one-on-ones, regular recognition, being a good listener, doing coaching, doing training. Here's his team winning an award from his company again for their great results. That's what we're after. So you got to be a student in the game. Take a look at our resources, my book on servant leadership. I have the servant leadership model as well. Some resources you can find online. Look them up. If you like this video, click thumbs up, leave a comment, and check those things out. Thanks for coming. Look for the next one real soon.